Now we need to turn our attention to your personal finances. Joining me is Dr. Roger Givolb, who's CEO of Fair Money, personal finance and credit expert. Dr. Roger, good morning to you. Oh, let's see whether Dr. Roger is there. Oh, Dr. Roger, you're there now.
Good morning, sir.
Oh, good morning. Who only knows? The gremlins of technology. I think it's because the first question I have to ask you is a difficult one, and maybe you were trying to avoid it, which is national insurance. Should it go up or not?
Well, this is a really interesting question. There's no doubt that parties and all the rest during lockdown were inappropriate and more. But really, isn't it time that the politicians on both sides of the party stopped arguing about whether there were sandwiches on the table and got down to business? Because we have had a £13 billion windfall of extra money from reduced borrowing by the government, and that is almost exactly equal to the levy for the National Health Service and all the rest that is coming through as an increase in national insurance on every one of our paychecks.
But that's just the other thing is that I really dislike the way that successive governments have dressed up what is fundamentally a tax rise, a rise on income tax, which they said, oh, we're going to keep income tax rates the same. No, because national insurance is just a tax. It's just an income tax.
Indeed. But James, you and I agreed several programs back that the 1.25% increase in national insurance now to pay for all the cost of the pandemic was not an unreasonable thing. But neither of us, of course, or anybody else.
I'm not sure. Whoa. I'm not sure I did agree to that, but anyway.
Okay. Well, I certainly said that, but of course, neither of us knew.
Doesn't mean that I agree with you, because I take the view that what you really need to do is you need to grow the economy, you need to simplify the tax system, you need to ensure that individuals can afford to pay that tax, and also you need to provide better and clearer advice and guidance. And if we made the system simpler, people would probably pay more tax, more money would go into the system, less people would try and avoid it, and then you end up, quids in.
Well, undoubtedly, there's no doubt about anything you just said. It's a very contentious thing. Nobody knew about the £13 billion extra, which means all those things to pay for the pandemic that was earmarked for needn't be charged now. Now, Rishi Sunak has said that he is not going to change policy. He's still going to raise the national insurance. Many MPs, the right-wing think tank groups and others are saying, please don't do that, or at least use the money for something more targeted. It's a real hot potato, very hard to say. I would love to know what listeners think about that, because this is something people could argue about all day. So,
the answer is simple. Don't increase the tax.
I'd love to hear what people say. As you always say, give us a call, 0344 499 1000. It'd be really interesting to hear what people think about this.
Right. Okay. Well, there we go. Lucky I am going on holiday next week. Now, let's talk about my money, your money, everyone's money. Hang on a second. They've been hoofing it all over the place.
Yeah, well, this is one that really gets me hot under the collar. The British Business Bank has made approximately £48 billion in loans to 16 million companies. And that's fine. Lord Agnew walked out of the House of Lords the other day in utter frustration, because as the counter-fraud minister, he was unable to get what he felt was proper reporting from this British Business Bank government entity, and in particular, the names and details surrounding the top three banks that have lost something like £250 million or more at the first report. Now, what's interesting is that he believes, and this really takes your breath away, that £1 billion has already been lost in these loans. And this is only the first month where repayments are due.
Well, that's arguably, he's probably right in the sense that so much money was hoofed out the door that they probably didn't document it or do it properly. But there we go. Now, a huge amount of brow furrowing and meetings already going on with regulators about the exploding buy now, pay later industry. And this is also with news that we got Klarna. They've announced that a credit card. I mean, this buy now, pay later thing is, it's almost like payday loans wrapped up with another, Sweetie crisp shell, isn't it?
No, I don't think so, because with payday loans, of course, the issue was the very high interest rates. Here, buy now, pay later, or BNPL as it's known, has no interest. The whole idea, the whole industry started a few years ago based on the fact that credit cards charge so much money. So what these buy now, pay later outfits are doing is giving you the option to defer paying something for 30, 60, 90 days with no interest. And now the biggest of them, Klarna, and 400,000 people, James, have already signed up on the waiting list for this, has introduced a credit card so you can get the same terms in a shop as you can online. It's a completely unregulated industry. The regulators, Financial Conduct Authority, and others are still looking at what to do, and they're moving as fast as they can.
But isn't the big problem here that for those who are able, it's a little bit like if you use a credit card and then you have it on direct debit and the money just sweeps its way out of the account, doesn't cost you a thing. If you pay the credit card a fee, then so be it, and they get their take, if you like, of every transaction you do, and that's how they make their money. But credit cards also make their money because of those people who are unable to pay, and then you end up with those penal interest rates. It's the same with buy now, pay later, isn't it?
Well, it is, but credit cards only give you a month. That's the whole gimmick here. That's the angle, is that the BNPL gives you up to 3 months. And I'm sure as volumes grow, they will probably extend that. So they're sucking in, particularly the young, to spend more than they should. And it's a subject of a lot of criticism. But frankly, I've got to be sympathetic for as long as the credit card companies keep charging 15 to 30% and more. I mean, how can they do that when banks pay you, tuppence halfpenny on a deposit?
Well, you see, that's the point, isn't it? Which is how on earth the credit card company has been allowed to charge that, combined with the fact that they're taking money both sides, because every transaction they take a fee, and then woe betide you go abroad and all the other money they take. Yosh. Anyway, Roger, we're out of time, but thank you very much indeed for joining me this morning. That's Dr. Roger Keevil, CEO of Fair Money and personal finance and credit expert. Thank you very much indeed for your insight. Now